So, we are live, playing Satisfactory. So, last time we were doing all of this plastic and rubber production. And this time, we are going to have to figure out, well, exactly how much of that we've done. So, I'm pretty sure we did all of the recycled stuff. Did we get the residual fuel, the residual plastic going? Or was it rubber? It was rubber, right? And that looks like what this is. Alright, so yeah, I guess that's gonna be that. So now we just need to move on. We have all of our plastic and rubber. And what we need is... I guess we put a sink on here. I think that might technically break some things, but it should be fine. Alright, so we get a sink, which will go somewhere there-ish. It's not super important, because it's very temporary. And then we connect it all up. And now we get this powered up. So there's a free power line to connect to. And now those plastic machines are running. And I'm pretty sure each row is like 300 output, so that should be enough. And then we just have to get this last little rubber line set up and running. And then we're going to have to see if this is actually working and actually producing the numbers that I want. So there we go. That gets synced and connected to a power line. Alright, so we have that, and we're going to have to also connect this one up to something. So, can we just get a merger on there and connect that up? Alright, and then we also need to connect this plastic line up to a sink. And then we should be all clear, and that should be all of the fuel production being used at full capacity. So we should be able to verify that it is working, which it probably isn't, to be honest, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So that goes up. And actually, wait, does this pipe go above ground? Yes, it does. So this can actually probably sneak under. Like that. And there we go. Alright, I believe that now everything is connected up. And it's just going to be a matter of waiting for the internal buffers to empty, which seems relatively quick, although these still have 60 a minute output, so it's just going to be like this, I guess. Alright. So, with all of that in, it is now time to put some throughput monitors on all of these. So just before the sink, we're going to get all the plastic throughput monitors here. And again, just pop it right before the sink. And that is all of the plastic production. And then we need to get the rubber monitored as well, which aside from that one is all going to be over on this side. So let's hop over here and start popping these in. So you get one, and this is a somewhat cursed belt, but it's fine. You get a throughput monitor, as do you. And this one doesn't produce any rubber, so that's fine. Alright, so now, with all of that in, we're going to loop back around to the plastic to see if the numbers check out. So we have 600 here, and we need 1856. So that is an additional 300, which brings it up to 900. This is going to bring it up to 1150, and that's a bit low. This is going to bring it up to 1150 plus 537, 1687. So we are a good couple hundred short, looks like. Alright, now let's figure out why. So you are 43%, which I assume means that these ones will be low percents because of a lack of fuel, it looks like. So yeah, that one is right on the end of the line of fuel. The pipe goes that way. So I guess that makes sense for it. Now let's see if we can find, because theoretically, each of these which are merging up to should be 600, not 570, although this number is going up. And it seems inconsistent, but this should be 600, not that number. Then this should be 300, not this number. And again, it's because we don't have the fuel to run these. So let's just do the overall math. So if that's supposed to be 600, that's supposed to be 300, that's 900. This is supposed to be 300, so that's 1200. This is supposed to be 600, so that's 1800. But it's actually supposed to be more than 600 because some of these are supposed to be doing extra. Alright, so that plastic is feeding these two rubbers, which are feeding these two plastics, that one and this one. Oh, so this is the problem. This is at 0% because is this somehow secretly not connected properly? So if we connect that up, was it like clicked in wrong, or oh, I bet I know what it is. I bet this merger isn't actually on the belt. So if I just replace that, now it should work. Yes, now it works. Alright, so that is bringing us up to a theoretical 1860 plastic. So now we just need to worry about why some of these guys aren't working. And I guess it's probably all going to be those fuel issues. So you are 266. And you're not outputting because you don't have any rubber. And the reason you don't have any rubber is because this guy doesn't have any plastic. And the reason this guy doesn't have any plastic is because this guy doesn't have any fuel. So yeah, it all does eventually loop back to a fuel shortage. But fortunately, we do have a solution here. So if we go over here, this... Which one is it? This line of rubber, I believe, is not fully attached because we don't need it to be. What are you doing? So you are capped out because you're feeding these two, which aren't running because of both a lack of fuel and output blocks. Although the output blocks don't seem to be relevant, really. It's mostly a lack of fuel. Alright, so basically all of the problems that I've found can be traced back to a lack of fuel. So now we fly up here and see why these guys aren't pumping. You aren't pumping because of heavy oil residue shortages. And are you all going to be the same? No, you have too much output. Although you look fine. Might just be a temporary thing that was fixed recently. If we go over here, same sorts of issues on this side. So this row is having difficulty outputting fuel. But this row was just having a heavy oil residue shortage down on that side. And then this third row is apparently doing fine, at least on that side. Then we just got to run over to this side, and it's also doing fine. Okay, so yeah, you aren't running because the fuel isn't pumping out fast enough. Now, we do have pipes on both sides, but... Let's see, which one are you going into? You're going into this row, which seemingly is one of the ones that has enough fuel. That's one of the ones that I deliberately turned off. Alright, so that makes sense. Okay, so one of the things that I can do is I can just connect these pipes across so that they can all just distribute to whatever needs it. And I think the way I would want to do that is to send it over like at the ends. Okay. Well, we can do this at least. And that will help that out a bit. And then we go over here. And I want to also just connect this into there so that it loops across, because this is probably also having fuel issues. And then we can go over here, and no, don't place it like that. Have it connect in. So now, once we get just a couple more of these connections in, then we won't have issues where some of them are overproducing, some of them are underproducing. So you can connect across there. And then we go here. So these two aren't wired together. So we can just do that. And that. And that. And then go and hook them all in on the other side too. And hopefully that'll at least like spread the fuel crisis around a bit. Alright, why are like none of these outputting at all? Is it... yeah, also fuel problems. It's not terribly surprising. Alright, so that connection can go across, as can that one. And we just want to have all of these linked in so that the fuel will distribute properly. And this might break things, but that's fine. We just want to try to have all the fuel somewhere to go, because having these guys not have enough output space while the rest of them are starving is not good. So it looks like that problem might be mostly solved, except for these couple in the middle. Alright, so let's... yeah, that's going to have the same problem, I think. Alright, so now we just have to figure out why the heavy oil residue isn't getting down here. And then hopefully that should resolve the issue. So this is the pipe. And it's 50 per machine. So this one pipe should be enough for all of these. And we just follow it back. Obviously the first couple are going to be doing fine. Alright, so this pipe comes from this line. And I see a lot of 100%s, at least immediately, but I am seeing yellow further down the row. Okay, so you over here can't output your heavy oil residue. Which is somewhat annoying. Let's see, we are pulling it from both sides. And this side seems to be fine. Okay, so this is the petroleum coke. And I guess we should sink the petroleum coke just for consistency. Because I thought I had everything connected up to the fluids sunk, but I guess I didn't. And I would imagine this is going to be 4 sinks, which is a lot. Going to need even more space for this. There, and then a bit more over this side for another one. And let's grab an additional power line. get all of these connected up. And then we can sink the petroleum coke. There we go. So now that should get this running even more at max capacity. Okay. So now we come up here and we have to figure out what is going on with this heavy oil not making it over here. So this pipe is definitely not working properly. So this end pipe here might be causing sloshing. So if I just take that pipe specifically out, will it fix anything? Yeah, so this is... It looks like it might be getting a bit better. It's hard to tell, but the flow rate looks like it is approaching 600. And then dropping some. And then dropping a lot. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to tell. Very difficult to tell indeed. But it might be marginally better, but okay, it was sitting at 600 for a moment there. Alright, what if we stand by that, let these pipes saturate some more? So let's actually stand by another one. So that now we have 500 output and 600 input. This should theoretically fill these pipes pretty fast. Now the flow rate is looking like it's hovering around the 550s. And I guess what we could do, and what we probably should do, is we can just bypass this, just add an additional pipe from here down. Should be pretty simple to do that. And there's still plenty of spare, or has the polymer... Alright, so putting in the route for the heavy oil residue does seem to be draining these pretty well. So the polymer residue is just going off. And then this is going over here. And these are all running. They're looking normal, I would say. They're all green, which is a good sign. Alright, so with that good, let's go, let's see, where do I think the midpoint is? So you're apparently the one which these couple here have backlogged the most. So if I just pop a floor hole down there, and okay, I guess you can twist around like that and I don't care. And then come over here and then down into there. So that extra pipe should mean that we have effectively far more heavy oil residue flow rate than we would otherwise need. This is going to bring it more up to the 900-ish mark that's able to come down here. And yeah, we have these couple filling up nice and quick. And all the rest of these are going as well. And I'll just give it another minute before we turn those couple of blenders back on. Alright, yeah, I think this is fully stable and all of these are maxed now. So let's head over here and on you to go. So that should be that problem solved. Now, are these guys still... Okay, at least at first glance, no, I do see yellow over here. I was going to say it looked like everything was working, but you are not getting enough heavy oil residue as well. Okay, and that makes sense because, again, you're right on the edge of where that pipe comes from. So, where do you get your heavy oil residue supply, actually? It was this one that had the issue, and so they are going to be from this row here. And yeah, we can see that these pipes are not keeping up properly. So we go up here, I assume we're going to see the same thing. Yeah, 500-ish flow rate, which is not sufficient for the task. And then if we start checking somewhere in the middle... Alright, you were 82% or 70%. Now you're apparently fully outputted. So this might be a case of just turning the polymer resin on fixed it. Or the petroleum coke, rather. Which would be nice. But if these are doing that, then it would mean that the polymer resin is getting more than it needs. Is this all backed up yet? Yeah, so that is all backed up. That is as well. Although that's actually the front, so it doesn't really mean much. Alright, so the petroleum coke production is going exactly as intended. And it's getting plenty. And these aren't... These all look like they should be capable of producing at max rate. So I'm just trying to find... I don't see any pipes that are having issues. Oh, is that... because that goes into there. So was I looking at the wrong one? No, it is these ones. It is definitely these ones. Which output down there, go here, and then go into this line, which isn't getting enough. So I think, again, just turning off a couple of these ones that are full, and I'm actually going to let you fill up so that you're resting in that state. And so now this shouldn't even need extra work. It should just saturate nicely. And these, let's see, that one is getting plenty, while this one is hardly filled at all and isn't getting enough. That's a bit strange. Although now it looks like this is filling up. Yeah, those numbers are definitely getting bigger over time. which means that eventually that'll hit 50, and it should take like a minute or two. And let's just turn off another one of these just so that this goes even faster. And we want to let this back up a good little ways. Alright, so this is at 40 out of 50, and probably just 1 or 2 more cycles and it'll be full. Alright, so it is now full. I'm going to turn it off so that these two can fill up even faster. So that should be good. Why is that one getting less than this one? That's a bit strange. But either way, they are both filling up. And also, in all of this, the water has not been an issue, which is a huge benefit. So that is going. And we're going to let it fill to the brim and then give it another couple minutes so that the pipes can fill as well. Okay, did I just see you being yellow? Yes. Alright, so here water is an issue. And that makes sense because you're right smack in the middle. Now we can actually just fix that super easily by just popping that in there. So hopefully that should resolve that issue. It might not, but hopefully it will. Alright, so now that is full and that is full. So again, we're just going to wait until like that pipe up there is starting to saturate. So if we go over here, it's obviously going to take a while because we have to fill up all of these pipes as well. But we should be just about getting there. We're putting in way more than we're using. So yeah, this pipe is almost full. And once it's full, then this one will fill. And then we should be good to go. Okay, no, it's emptying out a little bit. I can do that. Alright, so that is just doing weird fluid stuff. Probably nothing to worry about unless something up here has stopped. No, that all looks fine. Again, just at a glance, right? Okay, now this is like half full. And we just have to wait a little bit more for this to fill all the way up. And then we can turn some of these machines back on and see if it can stay this way. So there we go. It's hovering around, doing weird stuff. But it is definitely, on average, going up. So we just have to wait a little bit more for that. Okay, now it's emptying out a bit, which means it should be surging back up. There we go. And come on, just a little bit more. I want this pipe to be full as much as possible. Up you go. And just about there. Alright, we're gonna call that good, I think. Oh, now it's dropping like crazy again. Fluids are so annoying. Why are they like this? Why can't you just be normal? Anyways, we are going to start activating these. And then have to go over here and get these two as well. there, and there. Alright. So that is all set up. And we might need to worry more about water. How are you guys doing? You all seem to be doing fine. Don't know how much of that is actually doing fine versus like there might still be a water problem, but it looks good at least. And then do we want to no, that's going to be a lot harder for this one than the other one. Alright, so that is all set up and running. Now, if we drop down a floor, all you guys are yellow because of a lack of fuel. Yeah, that makes sense. You're right near the end of that. So, if you aren't getting fuel, where is the fuel supposed to be coming from? So the primary source of fuel, there are obviously all these side connections now, is supposed to be up here to this row, which I was just messing with. So yeah, that's just going to be a bit of time. And let's actually... Let's see, how much can we accelerate that? We can do this for a couple of these. And this is going to save us. So now we're producing 90 or 120 more fuel a minute than we need to, which should get this whole thing saturated a lot quicker. And where are the ones that are broken? Okay, now these all look fine though. Suddenly all of these have 50 in them. So I guess not going to complain about that. Are there some places which don't though? This is all a bit weird. Alright, I think it's probably fine to turn these on again. Probably fine. So on you all go. And now we just have to see if this is going as well elsewhere. Alright, this one is having issues. I assume fuel-related issues. Oh, no, I just paused production of these. Oh, these are the extra rubbers, which I don't need because we're producing enough rubber from elsewhere. Okay, so here's the fun problem that we have to fix, which is that technically the numbers are slightly off because we're making 1860 plastic, but we only have the fuel for the actual number we need, which is 1856.25. So that's gonna be fun to deal with. Alright, this is 2 of these put together, so this should be a lot more than that. This should be like 660, if I remember the numbers correctly. So let's figure out what's going wrong there. Okay, I see this guy over here is not outputting because of a lack of fuel. Alright, sure. You're not getting fuel down this way. Now, is that just a manifolding thing, or is this entire row? Okay, it looks like a significant portion of this row is having fuel issues. In fact, like even all the way back here, it's not doing great. So how does that happen? You are supposed to be getting your fuel from here, I think. The far distant one. Alright, so that is the one line of fuel that I haven't checked yet. And it's possible that because I've connected things across to try to stabilize them, that things are just not consistent anyways. So this is 492.65 fuel coming out of here. And if we then drop down, is it just trying to feed more than it's supposed to? It might just be trying to feed more than it's supposed to. So this is 492.65. Comes over this way. And it's trying to feed these two whole rows. So that's going to be 300, or no. Because this isn't outputting rubber, so this... Yeah, no, this is going to be 300 fuel. That's going to be 300 fuel. So how did I make that mistake? This should be connected up to more than that. And it is, right? It's connected up via this. And I don't know if there's actually enough to fill this section there. And obviously the answer to that is no. Alright, let's figure out how much fuel this all is supposed to be taking. So the problem is that a lot of these machines aren't meant to run. This one is, though. So this is supposed to be 30 fuel a minute. And wait, is it? It only feeds one machine. Yeah, this doesn't need to be 60. This should be 30. And then that goes into this machine. This one is 60, and it puts 30 into each of those two, which one of them is running, the other is not, which is intentional. This doesn't need to be 60 because it's supplying plastic for 45. Okay, now this only takes 22.5 rubber. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get this whole weird loop, but the point is it's not as much as it looks like. And then this is just outputting 60 a minute, as it should be. So the fuel here is something along the lines of 15, 45, 67.5, 97.5, and 127.5 there. And then this one isn't outputting all of its rubber because it's going out into those two. Yeah, this back line is just completely messed up. I can't figure out what's going on with it, but hopefully it'll just have enough fuel. And it does look like the supply is getting better. So the important thing is that these ones which output are at 100%. If all of these outputting ones are going at 100%, then that means that this whole thing is going. And this one is not. But it looks like it is filling up, because there's no way it would be at 63% if it has this much fuel in it. Although it might be inconsistent. It might be dropping back down and then crash for a bit. So it got up to 17.8 there. Is it going to get up to 17.8 here? No, it's not. It's going to run out of fuel and stop. Yep, it's just about to run out now. Probably on this cycle. Yeah, so there we go. Alright, so no idea what's going on with that. Actually, wait, I do know how to count how much fuel this whole line uses, though. Because it's going to be just 1-to-1 for the outputs. So this is 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360. So this row uses 360 fuel. That whole row collectively, including all the rubber inputs. This row uses 60, 120. You are not running. 180, 240, 300 fuel. Alright, I think I know the problem. The problem is that this row is using most of... Both of these rows are using more than half a pipe, but they're both primarily being fed by this, which isn't even a full pipe itself. Which obviously is not going to work. So, what we need to do is figure out the overall situation. So, how much fuel is this? So this, each of these rows is going to be 600. So that's 600 fuel, 1200 fuel, 1800 fuel, 2400 fuel, another 400-ish something, and then another 360. So, do we have enough fuel production up here? We have 4 pipes worth of fuel production here, which handles these 4 rows. And then we have a partial over here. So this is 92 plus 4. So this is 492. So that's part of a pipe plus 4 rows of that, which is, so 600 times 4 plus 492.65 is 2,892.65. So that, considering we don't need 600 of that because of the recycling, which, actually let's just confirm that that is working. This should be making 600 rubber over here. Is this 600 rubber? It's 580 some. Alright, so why are you not working? I assume it's going to be because not enough polymer resin. That's really the only thing that could be going wrong, aside from maybe not enough water. if we just go down here all the way to the end of the line, where we're going to be finding the ones that are low, we are, yeah, not enough polymer resin back here, but this should, in principle, be producing 600 rubber, and then the rubber outputs then. Oh, we might have too much rubber output, so if that's 600, this should be 600. This should be 600 minus a little bit, because we've turned some of these off, right? No. Yes. So that should be all of the rubber we need, which is 600 fuel worth. So, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the extra fuel is going, is the thing. Like, the math should be checking out. So this is one pipe of fuel, 300 rubber. This is another pipe of fuel, 300 rubber. This is another pipe of fuel. Oh, wait. Yes, 300, 600, 900 rubber. And then this adds the extra, not quite a full pipe of fuel, to get up to the 1036.4 that we need. So it's this one, which is getting a full pipe, but has extras. Right, so those three rows are all basically just accounted for with their original pipes of fuel. This one has extra fuel going in theory. Alright, so if we head over here, this isn't outputting plastic, because it doesn't have any rubber. It gets its rubber from here, which doesn't have any fuel. So despite being the one with fuel to spare, this pipe does not have enough fuel. So we're going to have to investigate this. Go around here and up this way. What is going wrong with you guys? Oh, we see a lot of yellows over this way. Why is that? Heavy oil residue. I thought I had fixed this, but apparently not. Alright, so what we're just going to do is we are going to take this pipe back up here, probably. And is this outputting the heavy oil residue it needs? Okay, so theoretically, if that's not getting heavy oil residue, some of these shouldn't be outputting heavy oil residue, right? So this is connected in to this line, which is probably filling more of the petroleum coke than it needs. So I'd imagine these yellow ones will be output backed up. Yes. Okay, so what's happening is this is sending heavy oil residue to the petroleum coke side instead of down here, which is causing the backup to go and sneak around over there. So what we need to do then is just get this in. You get a floor hole. You get a pipeline. And this comes over here. And drops down into there. So now, hopefully, that will have this prioritize the fuel production more and worry less about the petroleum coke, because this is the lower output. It should be prioritized higher, and we do, I think, see that. So now that is going along, and I wonder if there is some other way that I can do this. Probably not. It's probably just going to be working on this. So this is filling up a lot, and we are going to help it out by turning some of these off so that it all goes quicker. And it shouldn't take all that long, honestly. Like, we just have to fill these couple in here. So there we go. These are filling up, and we'll be set and ready to go soon. So this goes up. That's going to be at 50 in no time at all. There we go. And now this one will fill up. And we probably should be fine to activate the ones on the end now as well. 8, 9, 50. Alright, cool. So let's turn these back on. Get fuel producing once more. And hopefully with this pipe in here, that should just be resolved. As long as all of the stuff from the interior is getting out, which looks like it is. Alright, that should be that. And the fuel is producing again. Now if we drop down to here, this is probably going to take a little bit of time to fill up. Which one was it? It was this row here. That seems wrong, but I do see yellow blinking lights over here. So, let's see, you... Yeah, so this is another fuel problem. But really it's this one over here which needs to be fixed the most. Pipes. How annoying they are. Okay, so this is one of the weird things that I want to fix, where this side is just very, very far from the input. So I think what I'm going to do is just expand this out so that the input can go in directly to the other side. Alright, so now you can come down here and connect up directly to that, which should get fuel directly over here. Assuming, of course, that any goes into this pipe, which it Seems somewhat unlikely to do, but you know. Gotta do what you can do. Alright, so that's going along. Is that yellow or is the lighting just funny? Alright, so this is also having a heavy oil residue problem. Of course it is. And that's actually concerning because it's very close to this side. Which means that whatever problem is pretty serious. So if we go up this way... What's going on here? It might just be like focusing more towards one side than the other. How much heavy oil residue is this anyways? I think this is like 900, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's 800? Yeah, so this is like marginally more than a single pipe. So if all the heavy oil residue is going this way, then that would make sense. But it shouldn't be. Unless it's getting prioritized over the others. So these are 2 pipes going in this way. We might use valves for this. How much is this supposed to be? This is 40 per machine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 machines. So 40 times 12 is 480. Yeah, that makes sense. So if it's 480 crude oil going down there, then these are going to be 240 each, assuming they're even. But if those are 240 each, and these are rows of 800, then 800 minus 240 means that there's 560 heavy oil residue going to this, which is 40 short. Which is not a lot short, but it is still a problem. Did I do the math wrong? So this row is, I assume, identical to that one, as is this one. So if we have 24... Oh, is that just... Are we just done? Or no, we're using the numbers differently, so we don't need as much because we're using the polymer resin for some more rubber. But that does mean that... What does it mean? I think some of these are going to be sorted wrong. So let's just see there. Yeah, so I think what I want to do is find out which one of these was short on heavy oil residue. Was it this one? Or, I mean, now they all look like they're doing fine, though. It might have fixed itself. No, it didn't. It's this row, which is short on heavy oil residue. So, what we have the option of doing is... let's see here. What was I going to say? Oh, we can make sure that 600 goes down that way. And then figure out where the rest of this is supposed to go. So that's 40 a machine. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's 600 divided by 40? I should figure that out. 15. So we need 15 machines going down to the fuel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is the last one. So if we just pop a valve there and set U to 0, that should be 600 heavy oil residue going down to this row, and then it would be 40, 80, 120, 160, 200 going over to the petroleum coke. Now, is that what I want? Who knows? So then we are probably going to have to do the same thing here, just to make sure that all of this works properly. So you provide the heavy oil residue for this row. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then a valve here, which is shut off. Okay, and then we don't actually want that there anymore. We want it over here on this side of the valve. So you can come down there. And we take that out and connect this pipe into that floor hole, like so. And so now, once again, we have 600 heavy oil residue going to the fuel producers, and we have 200, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, 200 going to the petroleum coke. So that is now a maximum total of 400 going to the petroleum coke from these, which is going to deal with half of this, right? We'd done the math earlier. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 40 is 480. And then this was slightly less than that, but but another 12 times 120. Wait, no, it's 12. Yeah, so another 12 times 40 is 480, but actually 470 because this is underclocked some. And then 470 times 3, it would be nice if I typed correctly, is 1410 petroleum coke. Yes, plus 480 times 3 is 2,850 petroleum coke. That's the amount we need. And so it is 470 plus 480 is 950 heavy oil residue here. Now, 200 of that is coming from these guys over here, right? So we have, that's 200, that's 200, so 400, which means that the remaining 550 would have to come from this line, which is that what is happening? So this line sends some into there, which I guess it can do if it wants. Yeah, so that just goes in there, feeds this whole pipe, and gets all of those machines running and then loops around there to meet up with the other one. So is this 550 spare? Is any of this going anywhere else? Yes. This heavy oil residue is also going down to feed this mini row, which is going to be 50, 100, 150, 200, 246 something. And then this is 800. Alright, so it should all work out. If the laws of mathematics haven't changed since I last checked, this setup should work. And these are all saturated, right? That should be relatively easy to accomplish. Yes. Which means that I think we've fixed the problem, hopefully. At least we've fixed that problem. So the problem was that too much of the heavy oil residue was coming from these guys. And actually, do I want to pop a valve there just so that nothing weird happens? Because theoretically it could happen again where it flows into this and breaks stuff. I don't expect it to, but it should be fine as it is. Alright, now we drop down here. And it was this one which was having the heavy oil residue problem, right? And it looks better. It looks like these are numbers which are fixing themselves. So it got up to 26.2-ish there. Alright, it might not be. Let's see here. That was like 25.8-ish. So hard to tell. Okay, yeah, so these are definitely going up slowly but surely. Which means that we should have enough fuel production now. Alright, so that is progress. Now we need to figure out what's going on down here with all the fuel. And let's see here. So which of you guys isn't getting enough? So these two rows need to be getting 600 each exactly, otherwise it doesn't work. That's 600. That's, oh, I took it after the halfway mark. That's 600, although apparently barely. The pipe doesn't exactly have any buffer zone, but if it's 600, it's 600, that's fine. So this one needs to be the same. So let's fly over here where it's pumped in. So yeah, that is showing 600, which means this should be running at full as well. Alright, so now we have this row, which is not quite 600, but if it's getting 600 fuel a minute, that should be enough. Oh wait, no, this last row is the last 600 row, right? Okay. So if that's... I mean, it might be 600 flat. It might be just stabilizing out from something earlier. Alright, I see a lot of green on that row, which is good. And you are Still struggling. Still not getting your fuel correctly. And you are the specific one, I think. Alright. So, what we need to do is figure out where the spare fuel even is. So this row... No, is this one of the ones which is supposed to be at max? I think it is. So why do you have this? Okay, no, you aren't one of the ones which is supposed to be maxed, apparently. Because you are paused, and you are paused. Alright, in that case, then what exactly is the production supposed to look like here? Let's go over here. You are showing 600 flat, which is correct. You're showing 433. So it all comes back to why these two are paused. I think the answer is because I mistakenly paused them. Because if that's 600, that's another 300, that's 900. This is... Oh no, this is supposed to be paused. Alright, wait, so this is supposed to be 400. Actually, yeah, is this set up correctly? That's 438. And it's pretty stable around there. I mean, it's fluctuating a bit, but... So if that's 600 and that's 436, then that would be 1,036 rubber, which is the amount of rubber that we need. Which means that this one isn't supposed to be making any rubber at all, right? Because we already have... Yeah. So this one isn't... Oh wait, no, this is the extra 136 from that. Right, because it goes back. Alright, so this is supposed to be paused. This is what I've worked myself back around in circles to that. This is all correct up to here. But then this is outputting rubber. And it's not supposed to be, I think. Yeah, I think this entire row is meant to just be plastic. Alright, let's deactivate some rubber outputs. So there, and you, and you, and you. Alright, so we no longer have any active rubber outputs. Now this is going to take a while to filter around and get all the fuel set up correctly. You also have no active rubber outputs. So, just to confirm once more, this is 180 some, or no, this is like 136. That's 300. That's 300. That's 300. That's 600. So we have 900 plus 600 is 1500, plus the 136 from this row is 1636.4 rubber, which is the amount that we're supposed to have, which means that this row of rubber is unnecessary. And this is just going to be... It's still going to be outputting the rubber that was in its buffers, obviously. That's fine. But it's not going to be accepting any more, which means that these plastic things which go into it are going to shut down as well. And okay, we're getting there. We are getting there. It's been a bit of a confusing mess because I set this up in the way that I did, which I sort of regret, but it's probably a better way of doing it than working out all the math to begin with, but I think I'm gonna have to just work out all the math anyways. So I ended up playing myself there a little bit, but it's fine. Alright, so this is a plastic output. How much? This is 60 plastic per minute, and it is fueled by this rubber. Okay, so just have to figure that out. So if this is our output, it needs 30 rubber a minute, which means this needs to output 30 rubber a minute plus whatever is needed to keep the plastic loop here going. So that's 60. This doesn't need to be 60 anymore. This needs to be 30. But that means that this needs to be 45, which means that this needs to be 22.5. I think the answer is 40. I think we're going to converge on that. So then this needs to output 20. So yes, the answer is 40. So this produces 40 rubber, 10 goes into here, 30 goes into here, and that makes us our 60 plastic. And then we can just get that same thing sorted out for all the rest of these. So you are 40, and you are 20, and you are 60. You're off. You are 40 and 20 and 60. Then off, and just have to set all of these. There we go. There we go. So this is just mostly an aesthetic thing to make it so that we don't have all these yellow lights. And I'm going to eventually dismantle the ones which are going to be permanently turned off. There. Alright, so this row should be all set now. And we're just going to have to wait for, I guess, fuel still has to trickle through. And all these that which don't need to be producing as fast need to stop consuming all the extra fuel. Alright, in the meantime, let's go through and dismantle the ones which don't need to exist. Bit of a big step, but it should be fine at this point. And that is all of these ones, the rubber machines which only output to the sink, which is not necessary. Alright, so now we have that. There's going to be some dead-end connections and stuff here, which I might work on dismantling at some point, but that'll be in the future. For now, the amount of fuel has gone from too low to somewhat alarming, I would say. So these are getting fuel. but it isn't getting all the way around. Oh, wait, that's... Oh, wait, no, this is the previous row. Yes, that's the previous row. So this one, this row, which I was just messing with, gets its fuel from over here. And ultimately this pipe here. Alright, yeah, there's definitely something else going wrong with the fuel, but we're just going to finish off fixing these. So these ones can get that same treatment, I think, although this is going to be slightly different. So this one is producing 30 for this. And that's just a direct connection, apparently. So then this one is going to have to be more in order to fuel this. So this has to get 15 plus... Okay, well this is 60. This is 60, so it's 120. So I think what we would need is, let's think, this to be, I think we would need 80 total production, because it would just be double the other one, which was 40 and then 20 and then 60. So if it's 120, then it would be 80. But this is 15, which means that this would be, I guess, pop a shard in there and it would be 65. 32.5. Okay, wait, no, this would be 40. And, wait, am I dumb? Hang on, wait, let me think. This is 30 output, so this doesn't have to be 65, this has to be 50. And I don't know why that's still blue. Oh, because it technically remains for one cycle afterwards. So this is 50 plus 30 is the 80 rubber production. So then looping back into that, we would need 40 plastic production, which I've set here, which fills 25 plus 15. Yes, correct. And then that should all be good. And technically it's not balanced properly, but we're not worried about that because it's fully saturated. Okay, and then past that, we go to here, and this, I believe, will go back to the same pattern of 40, 20, and 60. And then we skip one, and we go 40, and 20, and 60. Skip one. Just gotta get all these numbers in so that they all math out correctly. Then that one's 60. Skip that one. And we have 40 and 20 and 60. Alright, so that should be all worked out correctly. Now let's do the same thing and remove the unnecessary rubber outputs. That's going to be those. And I think only those, because we flipped this one around to be more plastic. Alright, so now that we have all of that in, all the numbers are now correct, which means yellow lights actually mean yellow lights instead of just things going as normal, except for on this row. So this row is another place where we have deliberately paused machines. Not you, but you. And you. And just those two. Alright, so with that, yellow lights actually mean yellow lights now, although... Okay, we need to put these ones in as well. Following that same pattern of plastic only. 40, 20, 60. That's 60. This is 20, and this is 40. And then this is an actual rubber production, which means we don't need to mess with it at all. Alright. So, with all that set, now we go back here and I guess just work from the top once more. This has a whole lot of yellows because there's not enough polymer resin. Why is there not enough polymer resin? Has the entire thing broken down while I've been distracted? Looks like it. Looks like something has definitely gone very wrong. Oh. Okay. Well, that's an entirely different sort of problem. We've run out of crude oil, apparently. And is it just that row? Or is there a more wide problem? So these ones still look fine as far as crude oil goes. Maybe at the end of their rows. So if we go all the way back to here. Yes, alright, so there is a broader crude oil shortage. So I would imagine that it is something related to the trains. Yeah, so there's nothing in any of these. Alright, so the train system has emptied, and the whole factory is going to grind to a halt without that extra crude oil. Now, it's not going to completely stop. We do have these guys in here, which are good, solid amount of crude oil, but we need to find this train. And you aren't in the station currently. And you're going to be called something like SC Crude Oil. So where is that? Go through the list. Scroll past all the train stations. Alright, you are making your way into this, it looks like. So you're going to be picking up oil now. Which is sort of... If it's just a question of it being a long trip, then that's fine. If it's a question... If it's just that the trip is long, then we can just bring in more. If it's that there's not enough oil, we actually have a couple nodes in there which we can hook up into the station, which would be fine. Alright, it's been sitting in that station for a while. There it goes. It's coming back. And it's looping around. Has to go out that way and then around. And where are you going now? I don't really have a good grasp of where exactly... Oh, it's going to go... It's currently in the internal thing there, and it's going to get out onto the main road. Yeah, it's got a bit of a trip, hasn't it? And all this while, we don't have the crude oil for the factory. Alright. So that's obviously not good. At least we have some crude oil input while it waits. Let's see, is that going to be you back here now? Alright, you are making your way, and now you're going to have to get through the roundabout in order to make it back. For all that, you'd better have a full cargo of oil. And we might need a storage container here to make this last longer during its trip. If it's bringing full containers, then we're probably just going to need a storage container here so that it makes trips more regularly. Although, actually no, because it'll just be making trips. What are you doing? Alright, we're just not going to look at that. There's a drone just having a blast, apparently. Alright, so now we wait for this train to return. And it's really got quite the journey. It's got a long ways to go, but we are here, so it's almost there. Now it's going around the roundabout, looks like. You can tell because it's turned slightly. So it's just going to come over here, and it's probably in sight. Yeah, I think that's it there. Going around the roundabout and coming on over here. Alright, so is it bringing a full cargo, or is it partially empty? I guess it's going to be hard to tell. It's not completely full. So if it isn't completely full, we could make it a little bit better by just filling in more, but I think if it's that close to being full, like it's not even a little bit empty, then that's going to be an issue. Okay, so what we can do though is we can use valves to make sure that this isn't doing more than it has to. Because currently it is entirely possible that this is like getting preferential output and like it's using this whenever possible, which we do not want. We want this oil to be sort of the last thing that it uses. So that is this pipe here, which goes in here and down. And no, we did set this up. But it doesn't seem to be doing what I want it to do. Although that could just be everything to do with the fact that this pipe has weirdly low amounts of crude oil in it. What's going wrong with you? Why are you like this? Yeah, what the heck? Okay, no, this is flowing a significant amount now. I don't know why it wasn't there. Oh wait, did I get mixed up again? Looking at that one and to that one. This one is not being consistent. It's not being consistent at all. But it's definitely not getting the increased priority that I want to be giving it with the head lift trick. So that's not good. Alright, how do we fix this? Yeah, so the problem is that this is just sending a full-on pipe straight from back here and not taking primarily crude oil from up there. So how to solve? Oh, I think in this system there was supposed to be a fluid buffer somewhere. I think. So I can't remember exactly. It's been a long time since I looked at the video tutorial on how to do this, but I think if we do that, then maybe. In the meantime, how is this holding up? It's not great. Not great, but it's doing something at least. Alright. So I think that might be the missing piece. Although I can't be certain. It's still definitely just blatantly preferring the wrong one. And I wonder if that's... Oh, there was another YouTube tutorial about how... Or I think this was a Reddit post actually, about how, like, this and this are not symmetrical. And I might have, like, put the wrong one in or something. Okay, this does look better now, maybe. This isn't, like, constantly at the maximum. So I think... No, it's definitely still preferring the wrong one. Alright, it's possible I've discovered a way to do the opposite of what I want to do. Which is annoying. Okay, the other thing I could do is I could just do math with valves to make it work, probably. It'd be nice to do it automatically. But I guess math with valves would be fine. So, how much is this supposed to be? Is it supposed to be a full pipe? Probably. Each of these is 30, so that's 30, 60, 90, 120. 120, 240, 360, 480, 600. Yes, so it is supposed to be a full pipe of output. And then we need to figure out how much input each of these can manage. So this is this pipe here, which goes down. We're gonna have to drop I suspect this is going to be like the 300 pipe. I guess technically it could be any of them, right? But it is most directly connected to this, which is only 150. Alright, well, let's... The rest of these crude oil pipes are definitely just going in directly into 600s. So, if we go up here, it would be real nice if this fixed itself soon. So that is filling up. And now this is showing like 300 some, but that's still showing 500. Or maybe it's because... No, this pipe is separated from that pipe. Let's see. I don't remember how this works. And it's definitely not doing what I wanted to do. So we're going to take that pump out and just pop a valve in. Alright, let's say you do 300. If that is correct... Although this might... So the problem is this might actually only be 150, in which case this needs to be 450. But this does look like it's stabilizing at 300-ish. Alright, why is the flow rate 302.4? Please just be normal. And then the output flow rate is not 600. Oh, but it's not supposed to be, right? Because this is the one which is slowed a bit, I think? No, it's not. If we go over here, we see yellow lights. Is this still running low on crude oil? Yes, it is. Alright. This has been not the most productive day. We're going to try to fix these problems with the oil production. But it does look like we're sort of hitting a jam. Okay, now part of that is... Part of the shortage is that some of it is going into here, which is fine. You could just fill up a little bit. And you look like you're stable-ish now, so that's probably not an issue anymore. And this is showing in the 590s. So assuming that this hasn't broken something else, then we should have fixed it, hopefully. And we just have to hope that the train continues to stop by every so often. This is down to 500. Where is that train? Where is our boy? I don't see it. Is it? Yeah, it's sitting in the station still. But still, if that's 500, the way these work, yeah, so we should... Assuming that... I don't know what happened with it last time, and I assume it's just that it was getting prioritized. But assuming no weird stuff happens with the train network, this should be able to keep up pretty steadily. And then it's just a matter of whether or not this is even enough crude oil to do all that, which it might not be. Because there is a very real possibility that this is actually 150 total possible. And now, alright, now this looks like Some of the rest of these might be emptying out a bit. This is somewhat annoying. How much crude oil is there from this source? Drop down, and you are 1350. Okay, so it is 2 full pipes and a 150 pipe. And I assume we're counting on the other 2 pipes to be full. So if we fly up here, then these are, yeah. So this actually does need to be 450. So that this doesn't draw as much crude oil. And we don't get problems elsewhere in the factory, which it looks like we were already starting to get. Alright, well, we're just going to assume that that's fine and move on with our lives. Now we go back down here, and that crude oil is going to have messed with absolutely everything, because now we don't have enough heavy oil residue for this. And it's going to be ages before it accumulates again, because these all have to re-manifold, although the way we've done it, it'll at least manifold faster than usual, which is nice. It only has 5 stops to go, as opposed to, what, like 20 some or whatever. But it's still going to be a whole process. And I can also just have to hope that it is actually doing enough. So this looks like it is back to normal. So that's nice. This is probably not. So you got up to like 7.2-ish. It's close to correct at least. And hopefully it'll just balance its way through. Oh, this is... That crude oil problem was so annoying. Because everything was saturated, and then that hit, and now nothing is saturated. And I'm not quite load balancing as much as I have been. Which means that this is just going to take a while to get set up again. And in the meantime, I can't even tell if anything else is broken. Okay. Now, I think... Okay, so I think that this is actually a problem with this. So these are always going to empty out first. And these are always going to empty out slowest. Which means by the time this leaves, there's going to be a lot less reserves in the tank than you might otherwise expect. So the way you fix that is by just making an additional connection. So this has to just loop around. It's a pretty easy fix. So you go in there. And now it'll take from this one just as much as it does from the other side. Which should mean that we're all good. Because this will now empty out faster because it's got a more direct connection. Although it doesn't look like it's doing all too much of that. So hopefully... Alright, yeah, so this is now outputting a good couple hundred. We should get these two emptied out faster, which will mean we have more reserves in total when the train goes to leave. And we could actually solve that more directly by valving these so that we can't get as much from them. So, let's do that. There are 5 of these. We need 450 output. If we valve each of these to 100, then that would be 500 output, which would be more than enough that we would have some breathing room. And it would mean that the further ones get just as much of a chance. Although, nah, this loop is probably fine. Although I don't know why sometimes when I check it, it's outputting 0. And it's definitely working, right? Like, this is going around here. And connecting in here. So yeah, it's pretty much definitely working. And now we just have to trust the system and leave it be. In the meantime, these look like they're back to normal, except for this last row, which is the weird one. So yeah, these still don't have enough crude oil. Okay, let's go over here. And is this going fast enough? Okay, so that's technically slightly below 450. Is this outputting at 600? No, it is not. Alright, let's get another valve in, just to prevent sloshing or whatever. We're not going to set this down any, obviously. That would break stuff. Okay, here's an idea. How about we take that out, we connect it in that way, and then what was I doing? I had a good idea. Okay, what I can do then is have this go along as an additional pipe over to here. And it's going to have to gain some height in order to get over that stuff. And then come over here, it can just drop down again. And then come all the way over here and snap it in. Maybe we should probably take that dead end out, because apparently those can cause sloshing. So now we have this being fed from this side as well, which should, again, it's better not to trust the pipes can handle 600, and so this way we are able to do more than that. And we also have this industrial fluid buffer that we filled earlier backing it up. So this should work pretty fast. Alright, so that should get all of that done. And crude oil should be solved again, assuming that the train is not messing around. Okay, so the train is just emptied. So we still have, what, 2? So that's mostly full, that's mostly full, that's mostly full. And these 2 still technically have some in them. That should be enough stocks for this whole thing to run until it gets back. So I think crude oil problem solved. So now we drop down and we check out the next step in the line. So this is petroleum coke is not getting enough heavy oil residue. Now it is being fed from 2 sides technically, but only technically. And really this whole thing seems to be messed up. So how long is it until this is operational again? It looks like it should be all set. So it's just going to be a matter of filling pipes and getting everything good. And also, I guess it's possible that it's prioritizing this one over here, which is why it's taken a while for that to fill. Because this looks like it is 100% done. Yes, so that is 100% done, which means all the extra polymer resin will be, or not polymer resin yet, heavy oil residue will be coming over here to make petroleum coke. And I don't know what is taking it so long. Because like we've basically verified that everything should be functional. This is only 270 some. I guess it's just pipes filling. Probably just pipes filling. Let's see. None of these are having output problems or anything, right? Right. So I assume that it's just going to be pipes filling and it'll sort itself out soon. Because manifolds do take some time to set up. And the flow rate here is 260 something, and it should be 500 something. So it is a big difference. It is a very big difference. And then over here, we're also down in the 200s, which should be 400 here. Okay, now it's 400. Now it's 600. Now it's going like crazy. Don't know what changed there. Is this fixed as well? No, this is not miraculously fixed. It's still working along. So once again, we have the question of where exactly is all this heavy oil residue going? If it's not going down and it's not staying up here, this pipe is showing in the 400s. Okay, is it? No, it's not just going over here. That pipe is stone cold 0. I'm actually losing my marbles. How is it that this pipe is flow rate of 500 and the pipe that goes directly into is 500, and then that's 260 and that's 0? This is definitely not 0. You can see stuff going in and out. So I guess that's just bugged. Cool. Alright, let's set that down. Because theoretically we shouldn't need that to go across. So now this is spiked up and should be good. And now we see these are still starting to fill up, but they're going a lot quicker. So hopefully that resolves it. That's 520. We need technically 550. Like that. There we go. That's the number we're looking for. And I think let's accelerate this. So now we have 120 spare per minute, which should be like 2 of these filled per minute, which is pretty good. Especially since we're making good progress anyways. Yeah, this one looks like it might be fully operational and is filling up. Alright, so that all looks good. This is still a bit shaky on crude oil, but it is running at 100%, at least apparently. No, it's not. It is only running at 80%. Okay, so that is again just a problem of crude oil being crude oil and manifolds being manifolds. So let's just make these looped again, just like all the others. Should resolve the problem. So off we go, and we should be able to just loop that in like that. And I would imagine, okay, this is actually facing a much more significant problem, it looks like. Yeah, this whole entire thing is all messed up. And is it just this isn't getting 600? So we go back here. You are 600. You're 570 something. And you occasionally drop down into the 300s. Okay. That's fine, I guess. So what happens if we connect you across and can actually connect up there and bring this across and then connect into the other side? Alright, then it just has to connect into there. And now we have plenty of capacity again, as long as that pipe can handle 600, which it should be better at doing. It is showing 599, and then it bounces, because of course it does. Oh, this is the worst. Alright, let's just turn off one of these per row, because it was working while fully saturated, so I think we just have to let it fully saturate again. And I think I heard the train come back, which is nice. Alright, so those 3 are off. It's only going to be 30 a minute, but we got plenty of time. So that should theoretically be the difference maker. Now, why are you showing 0? really, really wish that this didn't work the way that it did. I know 1.2 was announced recently. I don't know what the changes are. I think I heard one of them was to like prevent fluid sloshing slightly more, which will be nice. Hopefully that will help. Okay, so this is probably at least mostly working, and hopefully the machines being off will help it catch up. It's going to take quite a while at the current rate, so let's turn off a couple more. This one is already... Oh no, it was just being weird about it. There, so this whole first batch is off, so that's 120 spare crude oil now. Which should be plenty. And how are these guys doing? Down here we have 600, 600, 300 some, and 300 some. This one is the one which is supposed to go down. This shouldn't have anything going through it, I don't think. At least not down here. And it is showing close to 0, so it's probably fine. I'm going to say it's probably fine. The crude oil supply is uneven, but fine. Assuming the train isn't just left 5 milliseconds ago, it should be okay. Alright. So how's all this stuff going now? You should see these guys filling up faster. I guess the way I have done this, they will fill up more slowly because they're being balanced better. Which is, I guess, fine, because once these fill up, all of them are going to fill up simultaneously. Just have to wait. Just have to wait. A whole lot of waiting for problems to fix themselves. This is why I don't like manifolds, but it's really hard with fluids not to manifold to some extent. Okay, well, one thing I can do, I guess, is if we have 4 machines paused, then we can summer sloop 4 machines. And if we have this one machine paused, then we can summer sloop this machine. And what that will do is it'll mean we have the right numbers at least. Is this back row all set up? Because I don't have the summer sloops to do this for this row as well. I'd like to just turn it on. So with those summer sloops in, the output numbers will still be good. Yeah, this all looks fine. So if the output numbers are good, that means that anything that depends on this will be okay to work itself out. And will mean less of a delay. So I think we can turn you on. You look like you're working. So now, despite this fact that we're using less crude oil and filling up the system, we are still producing the same amount of heavy oil residue because summer sloops are cool. And we could even be more efficient about this and overclock these as well. And then we could have less of these summer sloops, basically. So if we No, that wouldn't really... Yeah, it should be fine as it is. I mean, we have the summer sloops for it. And this is filling up. These are up to the 30s. They were at the 20s last I checked. As were these, I think. So that should be any minute now. Any minute now, this should be functional again. And then we can turn these back on, and hopefully the next row will be semi-functional by the time we get there because of the summer sloops. And I actually think I'm just going to leave like one of these slooped just to help the next row down. It's not going to be permanent, but sort of like medium term. Make sure the next row is functioning as long as we have enough input. Alright, so we can turn one of those on. And now we are outputting more than we need, which shouldn't make a difference, actually. It shouldn't make a difference, because this is going to be limited by the belt speed anyways. Or pipe speed, not belt speed, obviously. But it should maybe smooth things out a little bit, if anything. This is almost filled up. So we are almost at the point where we can say that the crude oil has been fixed and is working properly. So once those are full, then we just have to wait a little bit more for these pipes to fill. This whole thing just requires a lot of waiting. But it is what it is. Now this row is obviously going to be fixed a lot more slowly because I only have one machine turned off. So if we go over here... Yeah, this still isn't even functional. That's concerning. That's definitely a worry. But this one should be almost there. It's up to the mid-40s. This batch is capped out already. Alright, so now we just have to wait for this one, which is weirdly taking longer than the others, despite being relatively close to the input. Who knows? I guess technically, the way it works, that and that are equally close to this input, but this one is marginally closer to that input. Yeah, that's what's happening. Alright, so this is up to almost 48. We're almost there. Alright, just one or two more cycles. Yeah, that one we were at like 49.9. Alright, we hit 50. And now, from this point onwards, we just have the pipes fill. So that is going to be a little while, obviously, before these get significantly filled. And now in the meantime, we can go over here and check to see if these have fixed. Yes, they have. You're up to the 20s, which would never happen if you're actually at 80%. You might actually be at 80%. But you'll get better if this one saturates. And then these first couple rows are obviously doing fine. Alright, so let's see here. How how much do we want to be patient with this? I mean, it looks like it's doing fine as is. I think we're just gonna, like, give it a little bit more, just to be 100% certain. This fluid buffer is also filled, which maybe we could have used to help saturate some of these other ones quicker, but probably not. Alright, I think we're going to say that this is probably as good as it's going to get. Let's just head over there to confirm nothing weird has happened. Yeah, so you are now at the point where the pipes feeding directly into you are fully saturated. Which means that whenever these tick, they fill back up instantly. Alright, let's turn this back on to normal mode. Which means turning these guys all on and taking the summer sloops out of these guys. So there we go. And is that all of them? Yeah, we're back up to 8. Alright, so that crude oil should be operating normally now. Now we can go over to here and just, I guess, alternate between turning these off and summer slooping them so that this can fill up faster while not disrupting its production, which is important. Alright, so this is going, and should be going a little bit faster, but mostly it's going to be this one which is filling up faster. And then we have to go over here and check if these are still working. At least for the time being they are. So that will be a question of whether these pipes will stay full or whether they'll empty. And there's no way of knowing which of those will happen. But in the meantime, this is powering up. This one back here should be fully functional. Check you, you're at 50, you're at 50, yep. All good there. And these ones are filling up pretty quickly as well. Just gotta give them a little bit more time. Just a little bit more time until the machines are all filled, and then we will be good to go. Alright, so crude oil is outputting. Very nice. Everything is still looking fine back there. This is going pretty quick. And relatively speaking, it's going painfully slowly, but it could be slower, so you know, it is what it is. Now back down here, and this should be back up to normal by now. Yeah, so we can activate these. There we go. And the fuel all looks correct as well, at least at a glance. At a glance, I see a lot of green lights, which is always a good sign. Might be marginal water problems, but doesn't look like it. Alright, so if that's the case, then the second floor should be fine, assuming the top floor is. And assuming that this doesn't break. Alright, now, are these almost? So they are actually up to 50. And then they're rising, obviously. So now these pipes are going to be filling up. And the whole thing should be good to go. We're going to give them a few more cycles of this. And then turn the rest of this back on. Alright, yeah, it should be fine by now, I think. I want to just get this going as soon as possible. So there we go. These get unslooped and turned on. And that should be all of them. Alright. So the crude oil has been remanifolded, and if the throughput works, this should hopefully be the last time I have to mess with them. It would be real nice if that were the case. So now we drop down here. These all looking green. We drop down here, and okay, I see some yellow still. What is wrong with you? You look like you have fuel. Okay, so you are... not... Alright, so this is still fuel locked. But it's pretty close. It might actually be just barely fine. And it is, I think, just the very last one on the chain. No, these ones are also fuel blocked. Alright, well, we are making progress. It's slow progress, but we are almost at the point where we have fixed all of the things which we built last time. So we just have to figure out these fuel pipes. We just have to figure out these fuel pipes. So I think the first step will be undoing these connections. These shouldn't be necessary. I want to see exactly where the problem actually is, not where the problem is flowing to, if that makes sense. And then we can figure out how to fix it later. So that has to come out as well. That comes out. That comes out. And then we go across to here. We are seeing yellow here because of a lack of fuel. So yeah, there's definitely problems with the fuel transportation. And it looks like it is transportation problems because, at least at our previous glance, everything looked green up there. Alright, so then this last pipe goes just into these two over here, which, I mean, this whole thing is connected anyways. Having those connections in there isn't gonna make it any less connected. But then there is this connection, which I do not want. So that's coming from this one, which is single-handedly doing this. So it's just that side which I want to take out. Alright. I think we have disconnected everything that really needs to be disconnected. And now we should be able to go through and figure out which of these has too much fuel, which then doesn't have enough. So this first row, that's 592, which is almost perfect. This first row looks good, but the fuel numbers are low here at near the end. But they are seemingly, let's see if this gets up to 12. No, so they aren't quite 100%. So the first thing we can do is this is just making it a loop like that, which shouldn't matter, but sometimes does. Sometimes helps a little bit. Alright, so that is all being fueled from this pipe, which goes over here, up here, and from this row. Now I would expect to find that this row would be having difficulty outputting. 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I want to do is, again, we want to make this as separate as possible. So those 6 are feeding that pipe of 600, and these 6 are feeding that pipe of 600. And now there is no overlap. And instantly this turns yellow. Yes, so now we're seeing these struggle to output. So we have to take this, bring it over here, and just pop it in there. And do the same thing on the other end, of course. So you come along and go in there. So now that we're pulling from both sides, it should be able to more evenly use all of this. And now if there were problems getting the stuff out, it would be here in the middle, which doesn't look like it's the case there, or there, or there. Alright, so this should be 600. It is not. It is 550. So which of you isn't working properly? All of these are showing 100% and couldn't be anything other than that. This one is showing 84%, but it's going to recover fast. So it could just be that I had to fill up some of these intermediate pipes in the meantime. Yeah, now this is up to the high 500s. 590, 599, 600. And it's pretty close to stable at 600 now. Okay, so there is one final last resort I can do, which is to just directly connect up from there, but it shouldn't be necessary at this point. I mean, all of these should be outputting fully. Maybe. It's hard to tell, but it should be working. Like, it's definitely all going into these pipes. Which means that this should be stable at 600. And it looks like it is. Nope, it's dropping down again. Yeah, okay. We just need to make absolutely certain that this functions by just going over here, popping a junction there, and connecting it up. So that should be that solved. So we just have to come over here and of course it did it wrong. Of course it did it wrong. We haven't had that problem in a while where it connects the pipe up to the wrong side of the floor hole. It's feeling a little mischievous. Alright, so then that comes out, goes back in. Can I just poke a hole in the floor there for faster access? Alright, cool. Now this goes... It is this line, right? That we're messing with. It's not this far one. It might be this far one. So it's this, which goes there, which is, yes, this one over here. Alright, so we take this, we bring it over this way, just pipe it along the ceiling, and a little bit more, and connect it there. So now this is evenly filling from both sides, probably even-ish, which means that this row should be fully stable. So now onto this row. And this is also having problems, looks like. Yep. Fuel issues here as well. Alright, we are just going to shortcut straight to that solution we had last time, which that goes across, that goes there. You get a junction. You go up onto the ceiling somewhere. And we just need to figure out where this is otherwise being fueled from. And just grab the other half of that line. So it's this pipe, which is these. Alright, so let's get this in. And let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, so then this gets the valve, which is set to 0. So now this is its own thing, and those two attach up there. And then we get a floor hole, which goes there. Alright, so now we just have to take this and it's done it backwards again, because why not? Now this comes over here and over here and in there, and problem solved. So now this side should have plenty of fuel. Where's the one which was previously fuel starved? It's you, and you are filling up nice and fast. Cool. Alright, so that's you fixed up. Assuming that the other machines work properly, obviously. And it's going to take a short amount of time, obviously, before this filters through everything. But this is making rubber, which is going to get these going, which will keep this going. Then this one doesn't have any plastic, but it just has to wait for this one to start going. Alright, so that is that row all fixed. Now we go to this row. And how are you doing? So, pretty well. Pretty well, actually, because you're only supposed to be 436.4. Now, if we go all the way down to this side, I imagine we are indeed going to see problems with fuel, although it actually doesn't look that bad. Like, this actually looks like it might have resolved itself. So are any of these guys low on fuel? No. All of them have 50 out of 50 fuel. So if that's the case, then it's probably functional. And let's just do this anyways, because it's not going to hurt anything. It'll just make it more reliable. So you go up, and this one gets its fuel from over here. It is this pipe here, which goes up, and this row. Alright, so this then goes along, and in there. Then we get the junction and the floor hole. And in it goes. And did this go in backwards too? No, we got it right for once. Alright, so this comes over here and just keeps going. Alright, there's got to be a way of, like, having the ceiling mounts, but lower. But what I might be able to do is just have you go down like that. Yes, that works. Alright, now this should be all set up, and it does look like it was actually needed. It looks like there's something stopping all this from running, but now it is going. Alright, so that is another one of those. And a nice healthy 300 a minute plastic there. Just perfectly flat and even. That's what you love to see. Alright. So that's that. Then we have this one, which does look good. There's this one. Are you... You are short on output. 50%. This is also short on output. This is just going, but very slowly. Oh, right. This is one of these weirdos. Okay. So this is the one which got set down a bunch. So I think what we have to do is 16.4 times that is 20.5. So if we make this 4.1, And then this is 8.2 plastic. So that's 10.25. So if we set this 10.25, then you need 5.125 rubber. All right, no, that's wrong. Okay, how did I do this? It was, the ratio was like 60 in this one, was 20 in this one, and 40 in this one. So this is 16.4. This should be 16.4 divided by 3, 5.467. And this should be 5.467 times 2 is 10.934. So that is 8.2 plus 2.7 is 10 point... Yeah, alright, cool. The numbers have been numbered, which means that that is now functional. And then all the rest of this is receiving fuel from this pipe, which I don't know how fast this is. I do see more yellow. Why did you just blink just now? Still output problems, I guess. This is just gonna have to sort out a little bit first. Alright, that's fine. We'll assume that this works. Alright, so that is that. And it's only getting fueled from one side, and it's this pipe. So if this is, what, 134 rubber and 300 plastic, then that would be 434 fuel that needs to go into it. And it's doing the same old thing where it's split across both sides. We always do that. So if this is 434, then it is coming up from this pipe here, which we've already looped around efficiently. That's nice. So this is 600, and it's 434, meaning there's going to be 600 minus, I think it'll be 166-ish spare fuel on that belt. And then this is going to be the crude oil, and it actually looks like this might be having crude oil problems. Yes, so now this is having a crude oil shortage, as is all of the petroleum coke production. Alright, something's broken again. What's happened this time? Alright. Crude oil ran out again. That's what happened. Alright, well that's infuriating. That is like the most annoying possible thing which could have happened. And that's even this. Even this ran out? Yes. Alright, so we need to think up a solution to that, and I think what's happening probably is the train is probably just getting stuck, waiting a very, very long time, moving very slowly. Where even is it? It should be on the way back. Alright, so yeah, we need to figure out the oil train situation so that it shows up more regularly, and also preferably that we use less oil from the train. But I think that's going to have to be a job for another day. We have this mostly all sorted out, just a little bit left to do, but I think we're going to wind up there. So thanks everyone for hanging out. we're going to be doing Factorio again tomorrow, where we are continuing to just progress along. And I think we're technically researching rocket technology now, or we at least have the option to. So that should be fun. We're nearing the end of the game in there, so make sure to stop by for that. And then we'll be back in Satisfactory, continuing on this ridiculous factory again on Wednesday. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so make sure to follow if you haven't already, so that you know when I'm live and you don't forget. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out. See you guys.